because we're used to people sending us drawings and then we build from the drawings, and now we have to try to guess at what people will want and have a store. But the government paid for the web designer, so we're going to give it a try. We're going to try our first online store that's ours completely, as opposed to going through another service. So yeah, Square is going to host it through one of our domains. So that's been quite an adventure. But yeah, we're production people. I've been in the industry since I was 8, and Martin about 16, about 15, 16 years old.
16, yeah.
Yeah.
Getting into theater lighting in high school and working in getting into the industry that way.
So born and raised downtown Toronto, and little Brantford boy
Grew
here.
up in Brantford and
small town boy.
Toronto, yeah.
Big city kid, big city girl, small town boy. Yeah, and we haven't killed each other yet.
It's like
that
a
is
song.
so cool.
Thank you.
That's super exciting. Congratulations. You're making a huge transition. You must be really excited to see how that's going to develop.
It's scary.
I was just going to say, excited, scared, yeah, but definitely optimistic.
You know what? I think that, or at least what I'm telling myself, especially today, because the idea of those scary sensations, I feel like I have been, that's been my day. I've had a lot of unexpected, scary moments that I'm realizing are it's a plethora of opportunities for growth. And I'm thinking that's exactly what you're up against. You're going to just go through an incredible growth experience, and I'm excited for you.
It's the guessing game that's the hard part, because we're used to everything being designed first, and then we build.
So we normally work on commission, right? So
we're thinking of redesigning. We've been doing wings for years.
Fairy wings.
Like fairy wings, and mechanical, so that they flap. And my Maleficent wings open up to 14 feet. And for a 5'4" woman, that's I don't lean, because if I lean, the wing will hit the ground. But yeah, so we've been doing that, but we've been doing it for ourselves. And productions don't give a damn if something's a mess as long as it works. So we've been thinking of redesigning all of our designs for our mechanical wings and seeing if we can market those. But we have to design it for a customer now, as opposed to a production where we had to set if something goes wrong and we fix it. Now we're trying to figure out how to design it that if it gets shipped to another country or another province or whatever, then they're not calling us every day asking us what's wrong. Right. So that's been a huge. That's one of the things we want to take on for ourselves. And figure out.
That is so cool. The moment that you said wings, especially, I definitely want to have coffee with you. Not just because I want my own set of 40-foot fairy wings, but because I'm working on a script right now that immediately my mind went to. I'm actually about to go into production for a short film, but I'm developing a feature film that. I am now having all of these ideas spark just listening to the kind of effects that you are talking about, that you do. I'm going to want to chat with you about for that particular project.
Honey, we just moved back to Toronto recently, and it's so good to be home. Yeah. It is so good to be home.
Where did you move from?
Well,
we were out in BC for about 18 years, working in film and stuff out there.
So Earth Final Conflict shut down here. X-Men 1 decided to bring X-Men 2 out to BC. Total Recall 2070 shut down. When Mel Lastman put all taxes, shooting location taxes, to try to make additional money. And like I was saying earlier when we first got on, being tech as well as being a performer. As a performer, people have no problems with me. Doing tech, I'm always struggling for the gig. And I always get paid less than him for doing the same job. Here's all these geeky sci-fi things that we're making more money off of in a technical aspect. And they were all shutting down because of a bunch of taxes, because the mayor got greedy. So we packed up, we sold half our stuff, and then we brought what was left to BC. And we only moved back about a year and a half ago.
And so you came back right before everything started shutting down in Toronto, right before we went into our bubble.
All the work we came back for is not going now. So really frustrated. Wanted fairy wings forever. Well, Kim, subscribe to us. if everyone wants to keep talking about, because we've got I kind of interrupted. I'm so sorry, but go ahead and continue conversation. I'll dig out a photo or two and throw them in. And we want. And there's another thing too. We did a fantasy fair back in British Columbia where we made wings for one of the guy characters, and we were really concerned at first because we wanted to do a male fairy as part of the script. And we were really concerned at first that he was going to be perceived a certain way. And he managed to carry himself physically in such a way that even though he had wings, people had no problems. Like there was very few, we expected a lot of cat calls, but there was actually only like one or two during the whole weekend. And we were actually quite impressed with it. And what we did for him, instead of doing the butterfly wings, we did dragonfly wings for him. So the mechanics, basically, they sit like a cape on his back. And then when he opens his wings, the lead ones come up, and the other ones are attached to it, so they follow. Because we wanted to make that different. We want to make that different feel between him and the other fairies, and it worked out so well just by doing a different kind of bug. People loved him. I mean, they followed him everywhere. It was really wonderful.
That's incredible. It's kind of cool that you're bringing up the idea of cat calls as well, and the fact that you do make wings and making those slight adjustments that have essentially, I would say that a dragonfly wing might have more of a connotation that's more similar to like a male energy or a masculine energy as opposed to the feminine energy of fairy wings. Like as soon as you say fairy wings, I understand what you're saying, especially when it comes to cat calls. I've experienced that without the wings and not always fun. But so it's fascinating that like with your work, you can also have such an impact as far as storytelling goes and putting prominent symbols into major projects that people are consuming, this media that people are consuming, and understanding and digesting those connotations that are associated with them and starting to blur those lines. And I guess just because International Women's Day is top of the mind for me and how we understand femininity in the storytelling that we put out there. I'm super fascinated by those nuances. That's really cool.
Hey, let's reset the room a little bit here, like on that other platform that they talk about. Everybody take a little breath and thank the Car Hungers for their hosting. And we're ready for Helen to do, thank you, some hosting. And Kaylee and DefCat, please stay. I will stay in the background as much as I can. And I think we might have another guest come too. We'll see what happens. But yeah, Car Hungers, thank you very much. That was awesome of you to join us.
Thanks, Trev.
We'll talk to you soon.
Talking to everyone.
Talk to you. And let's move Helen over there to the number one position there.
I thought I'd already said my bit. I said what I needed to say.
Oh, you're not done. You just get to keep. You're good at this, Helen.
So
You're
like I'm just bubbling under the
professional.
surface.
Helen,
I don't know. Do you know what? My tea has been depleted. It's an empty cup, and it's needing refilled.
let me run. Let me run through Kaylee's, up through Dav, across the world, and over to you. There you go. That's not tea, is it, Dev?
I don't know which.
He's trying.
We're both trying to pass along our teas. You should never run out of tea. That was the first thing that I made for myself, especially because
no, I've consumed a whole cup and it's empty, and I need another one.
You should be like, Revolution. Where's the craft services on this show?
Right. I know it's tough when we're virtual like this, but I'll send some drivers around to bring you some food. What is that? Uber Eats.
I'm just trying to catch up with all the comments, and there are some people commenting from Periscope, and I want to address those people. Yes, we can see your comments. We cannot reply to them we can't type replies to them. So obviously, when we're in the middle of having a conversation, it's hard to interject. But yes, we see your comments. So keep sending them in. It's absolutely fine. We can read you fine.
Yeah, and I'm still learning how to respond to. Is there a way that you can respond directly to people? I see that there's an app symbol.
Only if they're on HAPS. If they're on the HAPS app, yes, which is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get through the comments to reply to everyone. But if they're coming in from elsewhere, the only way you can reply to that is, physically talking to the person, because they won't get the typed reply.
So when, like, for instance, Jack Torrance just made a comment and has the Twitter symbol next to his name. So does that mean he's commenting from Twitter?
Correct. But you can't type a reply to that or he won't see it.
Ah. Oh,
But
and
he knows you've read it because you've name checked him.
awesome.
So he knows that you can see his comment.
Oh, that's so cool. Oh, I should learn this because I'm going live tomorrow. So I'm still trying to.
So are you just new to the app then? So is it Kaylee or Callie?
Kaylee.
Kaylee. Are you just new to Haps?
I am. I mean, I feel like I can say I'll be new tomorrow because I feel like I'm pre-new. Whatever is before new, that's me when it comes to apps. I'm still super
new.
I'm super uber duper new, and I'm very grateful that my podcast co-host, I guess I should mention that I also, along with acting, writing, and directing, have been producing and co-hosting a podcast called We're Totally Not Okay, which focuses on the intersection between mass media, culture, and mental health. And I've been running that for a couple of years, and it's a passion project that just kept growing, so I couldn't stop. And we took a break when midway through the lockdown, and when Revolution got in touch with me, and I was introduced to this platform, Haps TV, which I love because it's particularly set up for broadcast journalists, and that's my background. I decided that it would be really cool to take a look at how we might transition into this platform and still be able to keep the material in podcast format as well, because we do belong to a network, so we'll have to maintain that output. But my partner
you
for
can
that
download.
is very
I was going to say you can download your. Obviously, you could either record the audio through a desk, or you can download the video and convert that to audio. So you can do a broadcast here and still have a file that you can later edit for your podcast without having to do two things.
So you can just download the file afterwards.
You can download the video file, and I'm presuming you can convert that, to audio somehow. There'll be an audio converter.
I know how to convert files. Yep, I know how to convert files afterwards, but I just wasn't aware whether or not I would have to set up something beforehand in order to download it. Cool.
No, you should be able to just, in your profile, you should be able to go to that broadcast and download the broadcast on the desktop. I don't know if you can do it on mobile, but you can do it on the desktop.
Very cool. Women helping women on International Women's Day. Very happy about that.
This platform has so much potential. Honestly, it's really funny watching the comments, because I'm from Periscope originally. I'm a Periscope refugee, and you get the Periscope people who are used to seeing Periscope, and it's we need this, we need that. Can you change this? Can you change that? And it's really finicky little things, and you actually look at the potential of what's already on Haps without them altering anything. And you think this, just blows Periscope out of the water. In terms of, okay, the interface is maybe slightly harder to read from a viewer's point of view in certain ways, but those are little things. Like you look at what you're capable of here. It's got so much potential. Honestly, I think that you're going to have a great time here. If you're doing podcasting or you're doing sort of broadcasting anyway. I'm similar. I have a radio show, but because of COVID, the live station was shut down, so I'm recording from home. So although mine is music based, it's the same situation. It's you're recording through the desk or whatever, but there's so much potential for Haps. I think you'll flourish.
I'm super excited. I never really had much experience with Periscope, and to be honest,
you weren't missing anything.
What's that?
Saying you weren't missing anything. It went right down the hill at the end.
I'm happy to hear that. I have severe FOMO, so I'm glad I wasn't missing anything on that. My friend, the only really experience that I ever had on it was another filmmaker friend of mine invited me over to watch. He had teamed up with Blumhouse and did the first live action film paired with Periscope. Blumhouse. So it was actually performed, it was rehearsed and performed like a theater play, so that it would basically they fooled a bunch of audience members into thinking something actually happened for real, when really it was actors who were putting on this staged occurrence. And he's a horror filmmaker, so it was it was as if the killer had basically put it out to the audience that if anybody wants to stop him before he on Halloween night goes and targets this particular house. And it was very, he's a very guerrilla style filmmaker. And so he did have people calling the cops and thinking it was real and it was a big stunt. And so that's all I know about Periscope. And I kind of stayed away from that because it was pretty extreme for my liking. But I understand his out of the box thinking with it.
I think it became a different animal towards the last couple of years. I think it became more the broadcasters just weren't supported in any kind of way from the Twitter team, and it was overrun with trolls. So that combination of those two things made it really difficult to actually have a fun experience there. And a lot of people who are on HAPS have come from Periscope, and it feels very much like the early days of Periscope. You know, it feels like there is a community here. People are being supportive and want to see each other do well, and you know, will jump in and, you know, help you out or whatever. Periscope was like that at the start. And then all the trolls it was too easy to make multiple accounts and have literally hundreds of accounts sitting there so that when one got blocked, you can jump in with it. It was too easy. It was almost like enabled that to happen. So it's fun again. It's fun to broadcast again.
Oh, good.
Which is, and I think a lot of people are saying the same thing.
That's really nice to hear. Yeah, I mean, I think that's such a big part of it. Like you said, when you are a product maker, and especially as women, I feel like moving into the entertainment industry and moving on to new platforms, moving into new communities, there is a commonality that I've started recognizing, having conversations with other female creators who have experienced, you know, the extra hurdles that we have to hop over because it has traditionally been a male-dominated, the entertainment industry in particular, I guess I'm referring to, a male-dominated industry. Hollywood has its roots, and even when it comes to different, I mean, these new platforms that are popping up, they are the opportunities for those who don't want to be contained by a system that is so constraining, I suppose.
I understand what you're saying. In the traditional sense, there's a power play. Okay, those at the top, those, you know, the ones that are in charge are predominantly male. So you are in a position where you're, whereas on what this does is it levels the playing field.
Yeah, well, I mean, and I think that those at the top, because the ratio, yes, is still very male heavy. I think that that's probably just because of historically and the evolution and the time that it did take for them to rise to the top. So it makes sense, and I understand that. However, I am also grateful that a lot of the people who, at least people that I've been connecting with who are in those positions of power, who are also cis male, are you know, the mentality, the zeitgeist is changing, and they don't have the same kind of domineering influence, and they are creating more spaces and opportunities for women. I mean, I'm pretty sure that correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure that the app creators of HAPS TV are male, if I'm not mistaken, and take a look at what we're able to do right now on International Women's Day, which is incredible. There are spaces opening up.
To be fair, I was thinking about this earlier. I know that Lucia is a really treasured member of the team, but I can't think of any other female members of the HAPS team. I think it is all male. And, you know, it's the tech industry. So again, you know, that predominantly attracts male people working in that industry. But I was thinking about this earlier today. You know, it is, correct me if I'm wrong. I know HAPS boys, how many ladies have you got on your team? I'd love to know.
And also, thank you for having us and for creating the space.
Indeed.
It's funny, I felt that same sort of, I think I felt a fear actually earlier when this morning I was on, or midday, I was on a room on Clubhouse, another app that I think Revolution was mentioning before. That's actually where we met. And I was in a room with the Hollywood executives and expecting to chat and ask a question. And I think that the fear that I brought was just my own internal fear was not brought upon me by anybody in the room, but I was put on the spot because of a story about singing. I had entered a room that same moderator was running yesterday, and as soon as I entered, he said, "Okay, Kaylee, are you ready to sing us a song just to refresh the room?" And there just happened to be a Broadway singer named Kaylee who was also in the room, and she was the one who was supposed to be singing, but I fully assumed he was asking me to sing. And so we were chatting about this, and he's like, "Oh, so you sing?" And he put me on the spot and made me sing today. And it was that same fear of, I think maybe because it comes from that place of maybe a similar place to thinking, I almost have to prove myself to belong because I wasn't expecting that, and being put on the spot. It's like, now here's your opportunity to shine. It was an interesting moment, and one that now I want to do.
Sing? That's the key question.
What's that?
Did you sing?
I did. I sang like a couple of lines to a song that I've been kind of like
a storm in the room. Did you get them all, happy, clappy?
I started singing a Disney song, actually. I think because the other Broadway singer, like, that's sort of what the tone was that she was singing. And for some reason, my brain couldn't think of any other song at the moment. I'm like, I don't know any lines, but for some reason, a Cinderella song came to me. So I started singing, what is it? A dream is a wish your heart makes. And then I sang like a couple of lines and realized I don't know any of the lines. So I stopped.
No matter how your heart is breathing, if you keep on believing. Take it away, Kaylee. Take it away. Finish it off.
Oh, no. I would want to sing something completely different now. I am so not in the mood to be a Disney princess. Especially with International Women's Day, I have now put on repeat. I don't know if you know the song by Desiree Gotta Be.
You'll have to sing it and break my memory.
Oh God, I asked for this. I have to pull up the lyrics?
Do you know what's very frustrating about this app, Haps Boys? I hope you're listening. It's impossible to do karaoke because of the delay. We need to get that so everybody can sing at the same time. That's your next challenge. Get it on your roadmap.
Okay. Haps team, this is our cry for karaoke. And it's going to be songs music. Listen as your day unfolds. Challenge what the future holds. Try and keep your head up to the sky. Lovers, they may cause you tears. Go ahead, release your fears. Stand up and be counted. Don't be ashamed to cry. You gotta be bad. You gotta be bold. You gotta be wiser. You gotta be hard. You gotta be tough. You gotta be stronger. You gotta be cool. You gotta be calm. You gotta stick together. All I know, love will save the day. Herald what your mother said, reading the books your father read, trying to solve the puzzles in your own sweet time. Some may have more cash than you, others take a different view. My, oh, my, hey. You gotta be bad, you gotta be bold, you gotta be wiser. You gotta be hard, you gotta be tough, you gotta be stronger. You gotta be cool, you gotta be calm, you gotta stick together. All I know, love will save the day. Hey!
Woohoo! Round of applause. I've missed so many comments. Let's scroll through them and see what we've missed. Presumably, hopefully, it'll all be praise.
Jump in, Dab. Someone's saying jump in. You gotta sing now with me, a duet.
It's impossible until they fix the lag.
Soon. I'm probably gonna try to force my guests on my show tomorrow once I start the podcast up on here to just see what happens with. It'll be a monstrosity.
I want to see this. I hope I'll be there. I'll be watching.
Fantastic. Well, I mean, I feel like it fits with the title of our podcast show. It's called We're Totally Not Okay. So we've given ourselves the license to just do everything wrong.
Oh, crikey.
Karaoke time. Yes, people are into the karaoke.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're starting a motion. People are going to be signing a petition to get the HAPS team to make karaoke.
I think they've got so many things that they're working on, but we can just add to the list.
Yeah, you're not.
It's not like they've got like tons of other stuff to do first,
right?
Okay. As female entertainers, are you all able to support self-fund, or do you need corporate sponsorship to make a living?
Is that a question in the feed here?
That's a question in the cheap seats, as I like to call them. Do you want to respond to that, Kaylee?
Yeah, I'm just trying to find the question. Can you read that?
JG Walsh, I'll read it out. As female entertainers, are you all able to support self-fund, or do you need corporate sponsorship to make a living?
Oh, that's a great question. Absolutely other streams of income, especially with the projects that, like now that I'm moving into larger and larger budgets for the projects that I'm creating, yes, I look towards not just sponsors, but deals with distribution companies that are going to secure financiers. It's kind of usually I'll get my manager or publicist to help secure those deals, because as far as doing festival runs with projects and then trying to get it into the hands of distributors or buyers, those sorts of approaches, they'll work if you have made a short film and you were able to, raise just enough money to make that. But a lot of the times when you're moving into other bigger projects, you want to secure the money up front, because it's not a viable strategy to try to self-fund project after project and still expect to find that kind of growth. Now with the podcast, for instance, that I have, that has been almost entirely out of my own pocket because it was a passion project. And naturally, I guess organically, we started having sponsors approach us. So it wasn't intentional, I suppose, to develop an income stream with that project. But as far as my filmmaking goes, and as an actor, there are very few projects that I take on that are not paying anymore. So those ones have to be very special, or for directors or filmmaker friends that I really love.
And how are you finding that COVID has affected that? Because, as a creative myself, with fingers in multiple different pies, in that regard, it's affected everything in the creative industries. I work with bands, the gigs have all been cancelled, the venues are all shut down. How are you finding that you've been affected financially by the COVID situation?
There was definitely a huge pause. I think because I have multiple income streams, and those were also affected. I ran a studio in the West End of Toronto that I just didn't feel safe operating. Even before we went into an incredible lockdown, I didn't feel safe operating at the same capacity that I was running the space for. And there were a couple of different uses that, I'm also a photographer, so I was making a good chunk of my income that way, and having other podcasters come into that studio to utilize it, even just at discounted rates through the network, if they're being recommended through the network that we're already a part of. But it was starting to develop outside of that. We were having other films come and book out the studio and use it for shoots. So I had other income streams that kind of affected everything. And as far as acting went, yes, there was a scramble and a halt across the boards. But oddly enough, and I'm in a very fortunate situation. I had so much disrupt. Been very safe. I've always had a roof over my head. I've always had food on the table, and I haven't had to worry about that because I do, as a writer, I get to work from home, and that income stream didn't stop for me. So I have been secure, and I also have been able to quickly adapt to the virtual process for auditioning. I'm also fortunate enough that I have good equipment for audio voiceover auditions because of my passion with the podcast.
Yep.
So personally, I've been in a fortunate and albeit even sometimes fun situation. You know, I do admit that a lot of that fear that I was talking about before started coming back to now having to learn a different process to approach the craft. And even with my short film, you know, it is sometimes a little bit more challenging to bring our production team together to have our meetings, but we have, you know, Zoom and these platforms to now connect that are, we're finding solutions. Just like I'm assuming, you know, you've transitioned to broadcasting from home. Everybody and the earlier guests reorganizing their entire business to fit a new world that we're stepping into.
I hate the phrase new normal, but, you know, we seem to be brainwashed with that new normal. We've all had to adapt in some way. You're right. Absolutely.
Yeah. Michelle Alexander, just saw my name mentioned. Good that you're multifaceted and able to pivot during these times. Pivot's a great word. And you know what? I'm glad that you're using that word. Yes, pivoting is super important when you, especially to recognize that you do have other opportunities or other talents or other strengths or other income streams, or just even other connections, like now getting to meet you on this app, and this was not going to be my night. I think I would have had kind of a sadder night tonight. Like I was exhausted, and I got in from a run. I was literally on a run when I was texting with Revolution about coming on, and my energy was just, I was drained. And the idea of pivoting, it was like a spark moment. It was like a Malcolm Gladwell blink moment where I'm like, yeah, I can either go home and be exhausted and probably crawl into bed or like watch a movie that will help me cathartically cry something out that I probably need to release, or I can be a succubus and come meet wonderful women and just feed off of your energy. And so, and
the coffee will have helped as well. I see that you've still got your cup in your hand, and I'm still depleted. It's not fair. I'm going to go through. There's so many comments, and I've got 40 new comments at the moment. I haven't read them, so I'm sorry, guys. Okay. Molly B says, I wish Hollywood would cast actual LGBTQ plus actors in LGBTQ roles and make more movies and TV shows with us in them with roles. That makes sense. Michelle Alexander says, women in tech and people of colour in tech need to get opportunities in education and recruitment. JJ Walsh, I know a lot of men who are able to make a living on YouTube and other online platforms, but very few women doing it successfully to fund themselves. And obviously, I would like to chime in there. There's an expectation somehow that if women are putting out content, it has to be sexual in some kind of way. You know, there's an assumption that a woman's OnlyFans will be, you know, nude or implied nude, but it's okay for a man to, you know, put out content that's not that. You know, there is a disparity there. There's an assumption and an expectation almost. I don't know if anybody else would like to chime in on that while I read through the rest of the comments.
I mean, Dav, I don't know if are you having audio issues? Can you chime in? I don't hear you. Oh, you do have.
I don't hear her either.
Okay.
Maybe refresh your browser, maybe, Dev.
Yeah, maybe you refresh your browser, I suppose.
Oh, that's just my Wi-Fi dipping out. I'm still here.
Okay. I'm like, are we refreshing devices?
Sometimes the camera just disconnects for a split second and then comes back.
I thought maybe you were going to get a cup of tea.
No. I wouldn't leave you here alone to do that. That's harsh.
But that comment, oh, Dav, can we hear you now?
Let's see. Can you hear?
Yay!
Yeah. Did you want to chime in on that comment about that differentiation?
Well, I do political analysis and commentary mostly on my Periscope show, but my husband always jokes that clearly to monetize what I do or to make it more popular, I should be taking my shirt off or something. So that's just
Wow.
What did you say, Helen?
I said open bobs, show bobs.
Show
Bobs.
Show bobs, because if you said boobs or breasts, the Periscope would catch that and it wouldn't allow the comment to come through. So you'd got all these Turkish men coming and saying show bobs, open bobs.
Wow, I never had that. I did have one person say,
lucky.
"Can we see pictures of your feet?"
Oh, that was the feet. Yeah. No, I can't believe you haven't come across open bobs. That's a running.
No bobs.
Oh, okay.
I think that I'm going to start calling them bobs instead of boobs because that's just shocking. But the fact that you're mentioning feet, which has always weirded me out, I made the mistake one night of my friend and I started Googling ourselves. There's like a wiki feet. There are pages that are actually dedicated to feet and people who have foot fetishes. And I have a page apparently on there that someone has collected like every image that has my feet in them.
Creepy.
Like, I guess everybody has their own thing, but yeah, I was not feeling super comfortable
No,
about
you know what's even worse? Not only is it creepy, but you're not getting paid for that content. On an OnlyFans somewhere.
At least send me a pair of Jimmy Choo shoes. Like, what am I getting out of this? Yeah, no, I absolutely, I feel, from my own personal experiences, that pressure, being a woman in the industry and the expectations, especially for the ratio of auditions I've gone into that are more so leaning towards cheerleader number 3 or something that is just, it's done, people. Let's be better storytellers, because I don't even think the viewers find that interesting anymore. Let's get more interesting with our characters, with the heroes of our story. I want to play gremlins in everything I do. Someone cast me as a gremlin, please.
Yeah, bravo. I think you've...
Oh, well, if we're closing down for International Women's Day, then maybe I can say this point of itching to talk about as well, which is female villainry. Because I think the cultural representation of female villains has become a lot more interesting over the last few years. And I think that's feminism driving the more fuller embrace of our humanity, that men can be soft and emotional and women can be hard-ass, outright villains, and that we need that to shatter the expectation glass of women's being the guardian of all that is good and pure and nice. Because it's, even if people don't intuitively see that, it's a restriction, it's a constraint, and it results in things in the legal world, such as women getting much more punitive, longer jail sentences than men for the worst crimes. So women who murder their partner have an average of a 12 to 15 year jail sentence, and men have an average of a 3 to 6 year jail sentence. That's the figures I think I came across the other day, just because it's seen as such a horrific aberration for women to kill, whereas a man does it and it's like, oh yep, well, you must have been under duress, 3 to 6 years for you. And that would be a nice area to have more recognition of our fully rounded humanity.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I love that you brought that up in particular, because that concept itself is at the heart of the feature film that I'm writing. And I would love to see more stories that fill in the gambit between the mythological dichotomy that we have of either being the Madonna, pristine and virginal, and the Maleficent or Medusa or pure sadistic red scarlet type witch. It's like you only have those two categories that mythologically speaking have been presented to us as our options. And there is just so much more interesting matter to play within those nuances in between. And I think that we're...
And even outside of acting roles, I think there's so many relationships that are probably ruined by men having that Madonna whore complex, where they either have to see women as pristine and pure and worthy of chasing, and then once they've married someone, they're like, well, I can't have I can't have sex with you because you're the Madonna person, and I have to go outside and have relationships with other people because that's how I gratify my base emotions with a whore, and then keep the Madonna who I've married. And it's like, oh, that's not very good for relationships. And that's another limitation of that patriarchal dichotomy of we can be one of these two things, that we're denied that full gradation of experience and being.
Oh, I'm going to want to have you on my podcast. I want to talk so much more about this.
It's unfortunate that we have so little time and that we're wrapping up, and that I think we need to do a whole show just on that topic.
Yes, please.
And I would love to contribute to that if you decide to go ahead and do that, because there's a lot to be said, but that I can't say right now.
Yeah,
I just think that's important
to come onto the podcast.
So much that I would love to come. I thank you.
We've been directed by the powers that be to
wrap it up.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh, we had a double. Okay, wrap it up, everybody. Come to my show here in 15 minutes. We'll keep the dialogue going if you want, or do it another time, or do it with Helen. But I'm getting out of here. I'm not wrapping this up. You guys wrap it up.
Thanks, Rev.
I'll keep the conversation going post-show. We can do that. I'm going to continue this conversation, hopefully with Kaylee and Helen on the podcast on another occasion, and we're going to spend an hour talking about the Madonna whore duopoly and how women can be limited by positive stereotypes as well as negative stereotypes. So much to talk about.
So much, and just not enough time.
No, and so are we wrapping up right now? Finishing?
We are. We fried someone's brain. I'm terribly sorry that that's happened. We need more coffee. Coffee is always the answer. Okay, folks, we shall. What else is there to say? Wrap up quickly with your details, your name, where people can find you, and all that kind of stuff, and tell them, where to hunt you down. And we'll say cheery bye, go.
Sure. So, first of all, I just want to say thank you so much for having me tonight for International Women's Day. You made my day. I'm so happy that I was able to pop on. My name's Kaylee LeGrand. I'm an actor, writer, director up in Canada. And if you'd like to get in contact with me, I'm, I guess, more prominent on Instagram and Twitter. Those are probably the easiest channels to reach out and follow me there. I would love to hear from everybody, and I'd love to be back and have you guys on my show tomorrow or afterwards. Tomorrow we're starting, so afterwards when I figure it out.
So can we type in the comments what your social media? Are you the same name on all social media, or?
I think so. I just put in my handle, which I'm gonna double check. See, this is why I need a publicist, because clearly.
Do you have your social media connected to your profile? Can people find it on your profile page?
I think so. I think my Twitter is connected, and if I was savvy enough to...
there we go. Car Hunger's done it for you. Thank you so much. That's fabulous.
Thank you.
I am obviously a lady on here that you can see, and you can find me elsewhere by searching for Radio Leggy on the interwebs. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been, how long has the marathon been running? Is it 4.5 hours? Was it a double marathon? Peter, Pablo, how long has it been going? Has it been going all day? Anyone?
Bueller.
I'm waiting to find out how long it's been going. This particular broadcast is 4.5 hours, but so was the previous one 4.5 as well? Anyway, it's been going the whole day, so 10 hours. There you go. So for those of you who joined in the audience in the cheap seats, for those of you who were, in on the call-ins, thank you all for taking part. Hopefully this could be a thing, or maybe there will be no need for International Women's Day. Who knows what the future may hold. But thanks for popping in. Who's closing it down? Rev, are you still in the driving seat? Or the Haps team closing it down?
See him.
Fabulous. Thanks, Haps. Okay, guys. Lovely to see you. Fantastic to meet you, ladies.
Lovely to meet you, Helen and Kaylee. Thanks for womening it up on women.
Thank you. Bye.